All right, shall we? A week and 1 day. That's as long as it took us to get through this game. As it will take us to get through this game. I'm honestly kind of surprised by that. Let's throw on our good pins. Throw it on ultimate. Give my... And... Let's see. So Pork City, which is where we're going to be heading today before we do the secret reports, is over this way. But let me just warm up here a minute with some other enemies because this is ultimate, and ultimate difficulty is pretty gosh darn hard. Not to mention we're about to fight probably one of the hardest bosses that I've ever fought, so just because you have to keep track of two things at once, so I'll probably end up going with Beat. I beat him before with Joshua.
Watch yourself.
But Joshua takes a lot of management, honestly, because the only time he's he does more damage than Beat overall, but the problem with Joshua is that he takes more management, and he can get knocked down from up on high really easily. I may have to reconfigure Beat's equipment, because right now he's going with the high attack, low defense build, pretty much. Which I can try, but I doubt it's going to be very successful. Yeah, you can see the giant red pins there that we're collecting. That's from Ultimate.
That was quick. That was a nice distraction.
Okay. So... kind of don't want to start Pork City without people, because backstory on Neku starts in Pork City. Like, we start getting backstory on Neku. I'll warm up some more. We'll throw on Beat. And then we'll mess around with him some. I should also probably change it to, leave it on auto fast. If I have to go manual, I'll go manual at that point. Yeah, but this secret boss is no joke. Like, it's basically two bosses combined into one. The secret boss. Oh, that's right, he does the knockdown thing too. Yeah, we're definitely switching him out, his equipment, for something else. It does a lot of damage, but I'd rather him not take a bunch of damage, because the top screen is all... it's pretty rough.
At least we won, right? We up for this? I got this. Take that, kid. What the heck? I'm digging it. Quit hogging. Be careful.
Hey, Giant. Good to see you.
No more of that.
I'm just getting warmed up, because we're gonna go fight the secret boss here in a minute. and it's a doozy.
It's a party in my mouth.
Yeah, I gotta switch out his equipment though. Alright, so since we're going beat, let me throw his hat on him. Let's pull everything off these two just in case we need some of it, except for their signature equipment. Let's see. Looking for something for Neko a minute. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then plus 50 defense is nice for him. Might change it out for something else, but yeah, like I said, the maid outfit is surprisingly effective because it's plus 25 to both attack and defense, plus the 3 attack. You need to cook a wrench. Nice. Yeah, I was just throwing on some clothes before we head up. Ooh, the Iron Maiden's one piece might actually be better. I know it's weird just throwing stuff like this, but I'm more concerned with stats right now than how things would look if they were drawn out. And then finally, Samurai Sword is pretty good. That's the nice thing about Beat's hat, is it's a pretty powerful item, but it also is a headgear. Everything else is a, like, accessory, so it takes up the accessory slot for that person. Like, my phones are an accessory, so it always takes up the accessory slot. But since Beat's got his as a hat, he can wear, like, the Samurai Sword, which is plus 50 attack and all that. There's a lot of good accessories. This is ridiculous. Solid Slammer, plus 35 attack, but minus 50 defense. This gives 50 attack. Requires a lot of bravery, though. Oh yeah, you have Ryman Beats elementary school backpacks. This is 6 years of Beats elementary school memories are crammed into this thing. He treated it terribly, so it's on its last legs. 6 years of Rhymes elementary school memories are crammed into this thing. She took good care of it, and it really shows. Oh, here's the glasses, the wizard's glasses from that Tin Pin guy. The inventor of Tin Pin Slammer. Shades headphones. Pie Face's bandana. You could wear like a whole Minamoto styled outfit because you have his hat, his cap, his coat, and his pants, so you can wear all that on. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, when a partner wears this combo, finishers will sometimes immobilize enemies. That's pretty good. Our buyer eagerly hunted down this tote down. Rare swag by Tetsuya Nomura that was handed out at the Shibuya Games store, or Shibuya Game Show. So I think these are like representations of real things that they handed out at some point. Like the WWY promo tote. WEWY promo tote. Anyway. So it's either that, but defense. Yeah, I think I'll just throw on the sword and call it good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Is there anything else I should wear instead? Plus 30 attack. Funnily enough, there's actually a promo line of... Yeah, kind of, it sounds like. For example, like this here. Tatsumi Nomura designed it for the staff to wear at the Shibuya Game Show. So I'm guessing that these were things that people were wearing, like kind of like uniforms to promote The World Ends With You at some sort of game show and stuff. And the totes were something they handed out at the game show too, or you could buy or something. Probably in Japan or something. Anyway. Alright. Yeah, there's some official merch. There's a really nice figurine of Neku that you can get for like $100 from like one of those like actual Japanese places that makes like the really detailed figurines with like the swappable faces and the different positions and everything. That's pretty cool. There's also like official like Mr. Mew. Otherwise, you can look on Etsy. I think Mr. Mew's on there. There's a bunch of patches. There's a couple of different sellers of the pins. Some of the pin quality is better than others. I actually ordered some from there today, but it won't show up for like another week or so. Speaking of a week or so, the thing I need to play the 3DS games won't show up till next Tuesday. So we're going to be starting Pokemon Glazed tomorrow, which is a ROM hack, Pokemon ROM hack GBA. So start that tomorrow. I was going to do it after 3DS game, but just swap them around so I don't have the 3DS thing yet. Anyway, time to head over to Port City. So we're gonna get a bit of Neku's backstory here. And since this is parallel universe, technically it's not the same as the original Neku from the main game, but so some of the events are slightly different. For example, he knows Mr. H already here, like in real, while he's still alive. However, we can assume probably that a lot of the events are the same as the original Neku. And we get hints of that they are in the story, which I will point out when we go through the secret reports. So I'm going to go through that after we finish this. But this is like the only bit of Neku backstory that we get, actually. Usually you would need to do stuff like defeat certain Summon, so I can go all the way to the top already, but we're going to keep going through the floors because every time you go up another floor he talks about another thing, so if you want to go back through the story. Actually, so the thing you actually have to do, if I can scroll down without scrolling down all the way so I don't spoil the... Yeah, so there's a bunch of extra pig noises here that you have to defeat. Yeah, so... And each floor is another one of these pigs, and they get like harder and harder to deal with. There's only one of them on these floors. This is the only place where you can get them, so that's why these are all like level 99s and level 100s and stuff. Because I was at max level when I was beating these guys, so. That's why, like, almost everything else is level 1. Well, not everything. I guess I could get quite a few more things down to level 1, like these tadpole and stuff. But anyway. But yeah. I'll show off more of the noise report later, because there's some neat things hidden in the noise report itself. But that'll be after we fight the secret boss, so I don't spoil it. That's why this place is called Pork City, by the way, because every floor is another new pig to fight and stuff. There we go. So in this version of events, Mr. H saw Neku looking at his art and came up and talked to him. Mr. H is kind of like a walking enigma for most of the main story. Like, you don't think about it too much until the very end, but you really don't know too much about him, and a lot of the post-game stuff is kind of fleshing out what he was doing in the background and what was going on with him and who he is actually. So this Mr. H, the one from this place, has been really busy lately. It's not clear how much of this is actually canon. I would guess anything pertaining to the main storyline is, because this area is kind of weird because it's the Neku from this place, from this parallel world, but he's climbing up this place and technically defeating Noise and talking to Reapers who's letting him go on. He also says this place seems familiar, despite not having been here before in this timeline, so I'm guessing that this is kind of like a weird overlap. Like I said before, Pork City is kind of an anomaly. There's a lot of like energy swirling around it kind of stuff, so it gets funky and it kind of bends the rules. Okay, so here's like the big thing that we learned about Neku through this. So Neku had one real friend. He was the one who told him about the cat artwork and Utagawa too. So he had a friend, a guy in his class, his only real friend, and he invited him to come over and take a look at the cat mural with him. Like they were going to meet up, but he got in an accident and got hit by a car and died, and Neku blamed himself for it. And that's why he didn't want to get close to anyone, and that's why he had such a terrible reaction to the Rhyme's death. He didn't want to get close to anyone, not because he devalued them or anything, but just because he didn't want to get hurt again afterwards. What is it called? Like survivor's guilt or something? Whoops. Ah. I didn't mean to go down that way. Actually, I think we were on the 13th floor, so I can just head up there. No. Okay. So, save one more time. Yeah, basically he blamed himself for his friend dying, and that's why he didn't want to get close to anyone. Because he was worried he was going to get hurt again. Alright. Hey, phones. Phones? Oh, right. Sorry. Wrong you. This is the Mr. H from the original timeline. Not the one from this timeline. Some large noise symbol. He can see it in this world too, clear as day. Can't really see it in this, but the final version, so the Switch version, deals with what he's here looking at, which is a giant noise symbol that's up. You can see above the city from the top of Pork City, the top of this building. That's what there's another day that the Switch version has that deals with that. The gameplay version I found on YouTube took like an hour, and then the cutscene version is like half an hour. I decided not to like try and like do a reaction thing to it because A, I don't have a face cam, and B, if you want to like go and watch it yourself, you can, I guess. But I'm not gonna like try and do that for like half an hour where we're just sitting here and I'm just like ooh ah for a couple of times. Anyway, because I haven't actually watched it myself, so, or I haven't played through it either, so maybe I should at this point. I do have the Switch version, I just never got to that point in the game because I got disgusted with the controls and how lazy the port was. Anyway. But the other you is in the middle of the game. And even though you're right there in the UG, I can't exactly interfere, even if it's just to test you a bit. See that? Those feathers? Reminds me of the feathers Joshua has before he starts the boss rush thing. But this U is fair game. Let's have a look at what you can do.
You're good as gone. Don't let limit slow you.
Look how much damage he does. Oh no. We may have to do this on hard mode. I wanted to do it on ultimate, but oh my gosh. I'm remembering how hard it is on the DS on to do it on ultimate. Yeah, he's basically a combination of my goodness, yeah. I'm gonna reload that save. Switch it over to hard mode. I won't go down to easy or anything. I'll still try and do it on hard mode, but yeah. He's basically a combination of what is it? Sho Minamoto's noise form on the bottom screen and Miss
You're good as gone.
Kenichi on the top screen.
Don't let limit slow you. Don't let limit slow you.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
We in trouble. Open up your world.
Oh yeah, he is.
You're good as gone.
Most importantly, like, he requires you to pay attention to both screens, honestly.
Slow you. I got this. Don't let limit slow you. Don't let limit slow you.
Like, look how much damage Beat takes. He takes 1,000 some damage every time Mrs. Kenichi does one of her attacks.
Some more. Don't let limit enjoy the moment. Don't let limit slow you. Pick it up, phone there. Don't let limit slow you. Don't let limit slow you. I got this. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, we're dead.
Open up your world.
See if I can do it on hard. Maybe I'll have to put it back down to normal.
For a beatdown.
I don't know. I'd like to do it on hard, but like I said, this guy is like one of the hardest bosses I've like fought. Like just in general. Look at that knockback. Knockback, 3,000 damage.
Your world.
My goodness. Yeah, and we're on max level too, and max HP is 9,999. So one of his bottom screen attacks does a third of our total HP about, and then the top screen, she does like 1,000. It's really insane. I remember trying so much to beat him on Ultimate, and I was so happy when I finally did.
But never reveals his name. Taken as a good one, but nobody knows who. Your good is gone. Don't let limit slow you. Don't let limit slow you. Don't let limit slow you. Don't let limit slow you.
I mean, this guy is really ridiculous. Like, I'm all the way maxed out, and he can still, like...
Don't let limit slow you. I got this. I'm digging it. Don't let limit slow you.
There we go. Alright. Feels kind of cheap, but it is what it is.
At least we won, right? That's how it's done.
Anyway. Very nice, Phones. You said you wanted to help me? That day may come sooner than either of us expect. Later, kiddo. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, let me go over the noise report, and then we'll start going over the secret reports. Oh, I should pull out my checklist. I have a checklist of the things I want to go over. Tiny little details that, make sense now that you know more of the story. So this is, Panther Cantus. His noise form, the ultimate existence, both lion and tiger, demands your full force. Look at that. His attack is 1,000. The attack of the final boss is 100. And his HP is 5,000 plus more. It's insane. Even as the player, we only ever get up to about 200, 250 max for our attack. But yeah, he is amazing. He is nuts. Anyway. Also, defeating him on Ultimate is the only way to get Black Jupiter, unless you get lucky like I did, and are able to buy it from him at his cafe. So, if you want to get the best set of pins, you have to defeat him on Ultimate without the best set of pins. Oh yeah, Sho Minamoto Taboo. Check out his stats. So, where is it? Yeah. So, Sho Minamoto's regular stats, look at his HP, 3,141, haha, numbers of pi, 5,926. They continued the line of pi digits from 3.1415926. I thought that was fun. And it also kind of actually does do well on the overall curve of the oh, what else fun things are in here? Oh yeah, it also records your best time against certain bosses on hard or more, on hard or more difficulty. I don't know if it counts the version where you're like the time attack version, but anyway. Okay, let's finally start on those secret reports. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the... Okay, so... Day 1. As is common knowledge, all games in the UG take place under our supervision. However, this particular game is saddled with a nigh unbelievable set of extenuating circumstances, catching the attention of the higher plane. Thus, I shall be taking a more hands-on role this time, as detailed in this report. The core differences in this game are as follows. 1. Its role in plans for Shibuya's destruction. 2. The composer's absence from the UG. 3. The resulting limitations to his powers. And 4. The game being played by a proxy. The composer has informed me of 2 major points. That he plans to destroy the UG, but also that his final decision will hinge on the outcome of this game with Conductor. A provincial rule for this game requires the composer to vacate the underground. It is unprecedented for the composer to be absent during a game. I cannot predict what effect it may have. Furthermore, the composer must lower the frequency of his vibe to travel from the UG to the RG, inevitably curtailing his abilities. He can't use all of his abilities in the real world or RG. This makes investigating the conductor and his strategy incredibly difficult, as the composer is still the only one who knows who I am and what I am. Remember, these are the secret reports written by Mr. H. It means lingering in the UG to author reports carries a lethal risk. The greatest randomizer in this current game is the use of a hand-picked proxy to compete against the conductor in the composer's stead. No information on this person exists at present. While the situation seems dire, I believe the key to getting ahead of all of this is at hand. You see, time always builds upon the past. I have already located our key. It is a pin request from the conductor. Normally, the psych manifestations of pins are determined by one's imagination. Imagination is literally like the amount of power someone has. Thus, by analyzing the pin, the user's imagination, or rather, their true intentions, are revealed. Unfortunately, this order came through the composer and never came into contact with the conductor. Thus, I could not determine the nature of his imagination. I, too, have lowered my vibe to tune into the UG, limiting my abilities. So, Mr. H is stepping down to the UG, limiting his abilities. So, in the same way that Joshua stepping down to the RG or the real world, like allows him to only use so much of his abilities. It's the same thing for Mr. H stepping down into the UG. However, at this stage, realizing that this pin holds the key is sufficient. The possibility of forestalling the plan for the UG destruction remains. And so that is day 1's report. So let's watch this intro again. And I want to point out some things in the intro.
You're blocking my view.
Or just kind of like watch it through again. And now having full knowledge of the story, you can see how it sets up for a lot of things or references a lot of things in the story. The story is a little confusing,
Just go the hell away.
but it is entirely consistent all the way through. And there's also one more thing I want to show off on day 1 that they tease and that most people probably have never noticed.
So you can keep yours, all right? I don't get people. Never have, never will. Open up your senses. Huh? Huh? What?
Oh, that's right.
Huh? You're good as gone.
We're still on normal difficulty. I'll have to change it over to ultimate. Because there's also some optional bosses that I'll be showing off too. Okay, intro again. This intro is good every single time I watch it. Shiki, feet, and Joshua turns and smiles. Two Shikis, Eri and Rhyme, or Eri and Shiki. Joshua, Neku, the Shades guy. Gun. Oh, you can see the flash of like Joshua there running at Neku and Rhyme realizing the trap. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to show off on this week 1, day 1 before we move on. So, right here, could only see this, like you can see it now, but you won't notice. So here's actually a good use for being able to see my cursor. Look right here. It's Joshua. It's freaking Joshua right here. He disappears after you link up with Shiki, but he's here and he's making sure that you find a partner. The guy is freaking here the whole time. And it's never called out, it's never mentioned anywhere. You just have to recognize his sprite after playing through this game once, pretty much. And you can only see it like if you're really like paying attention. Look. Yeah. So after this, he'll be gone too.
Watch yourself. So, who's next? Your good is gone. So, who's next?
Thankfully, since we beat the game, we can hold RL and skip through all the dialogue we want. See, now he's gone. You can't see him there anymore. Anyway. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, so let's turn this up to Ultimate again, because I can do everything else on Ultimate on here, I think, at this point. Okay, so that's day 1, Joshua. So, day 2, let's hop over, and I want to show off something when B introduces himself in rhyme a minute. Did I already? Yeah, I already did. I think our partner automatically gets. Ah, that's fine. Can we do it yet or no?
What?
Since we can chain all 3 of these. Not have to do all the tutorials.
Your good is gone. So, who's next?
Huh?
Okay.
Huh?
The name's beat, and this is my ... my partner rhyme. He was going to say his sister here, but he pauses and instead says my partner rhyme. Because remember, she doesn't remember that he's her brother. They are consistent all the way through this game with stuff like that. It's awesome. Anyway, that was literally the only thing I wanted to point out for this conversation, so I'm just going to skip through the rest of it and read today's, this day's secret report. Yeah, this is why I wanted to go through the days again, because there's little things like that which you wouldn't be able to pick up on the first go around, but are really fun. Anyway. As the game was set to end, so on day 1, I felt an intense burst of soul, and at its source I found the composer's handpicked proxy, one Neku Sakuraba. Let it be noted that once danger was past, the soul he expelled rapidly tapered off. I shall define soul as it exists in the Yuji later. For now, let it suffice to say that is the energy he bears within him. His unstable soul is the result of a rift between his body and emotional mind. This discord can be traced to a few causes. 1. His dense and all-inclusive soul composition. 2. Emotional confusion, inhibiting the unity of his emotional self and physical body. And 3. The exasperation of that confusion by memory loss due to his entry fee. So basically what he's saying is, Neku has a lot of, like, power, basically. You know, he can use all the pins and everything. But because he's blocking himself off, because of what happened before, where he doesn't actually really believe the things he's said, he just kind of doesn't want to get hurt again. So he's trying to push people away, and he doesn't even know why, because he's lost his memory. So it's kind of really messing with him. However, anyone possessing such diverse soul can become a formidable wielder of imagination. The composer was right to choose this boy. Shibuya's fate may rest on how well he manages to stabilize his soul. To measure his stability, I gave him a harmonizer pin. It can only be used when he cooperates with his partner. This is the combo thing that he gives to us. Synchronizing with another hinges on his ability to first stabilize his own soul. Thus, successful use of the pin would indicate that he has made progress on that front. The further he is able to push his and his partner's psych resonance through fusion, the greater his own internal stability will have become. The progress of his soul merits close observation henceforth. And then there's not anything until day 5 that I want to point out, so I'll just go through day 3 and 4's reports a sec. Allow me to redefine the composer's role. As I continue to observe the game's progress, I have a clear view of the enormous effect of the composer's absence. A clear definition of his duties are key to understanding the extent of this disruption. The composer holds absolute authority over the underground. By authority, I mean the right to determine rules. He is the only one who can change the composition of the UG and sole creator of the Shibuya. The underground Shibuya is created and organized by the composer's rules, which pit players against Reapers in a struggle for survival. A new composer only rises when the previous one is defeated. The victor takes the victim's place. At this juncture, the new composer rewrites the rules of the UG Shibuya. However, there being no composer at all is a different situation. It means the rules that make up the UG are invalid. In other words, without a composer, the underground collapses. However, the composer's absence is still a secret. At present, only 3 people know: the composer himself, his opponent, the conductor, and the producer, me. They really like using literary terms for the Reapers. Actually, if we go over to the noise report, yeah, tenor Reaper, baritone Reaper, and bass Reaper, or bass Reaper. Those are different, like, octave ranges of music. They do a lot of, like, music references with the Reapers. The producer's role is that of guardian over the game. For observation purposes, he must sometimes descend from the higher plane to the underground. While the producer is natively an entity from the higher plane, he can adjust the frequency of his vibe to the UG and lower planes. Yeah, I used to be in band, so I know. I did a short stint in a church choir once, but I couldn't keep awake up in front of the bright lights, so I ended up only doing it once. Think of a radio. Going from station A to station UG simply requires tuning into a different frequency. The producer has the power to contact any and all beings in the underground. However, he is strictly prohibited from revealing his identity in the UG. His existence endangers the stability of the rules and balance of the UG and RG. Thus, the producer's identity must stay a secret from Reapers and players, not to mention those in the RG. He may freely contact only one person as the producer, and that is the composer. So, only Joshua is the one who knows that Mr. H is the producer, the one overseeing even him. UG exists as a separate plane where the composer can judge the worth of men. Within it are Reapers and human players. It is infeasible for the composer to judge all of humanity by himself, so a filtering system utilizing the Reapers was created. The Reapers game. Reapers act as a test, weeding out unfit players. Upon becoming a Reaper, one's physical body changes, gaining incredible strength and extended lifespan. As Reaper and player alike progress through the game, engaging in imagination-driven combat, their soul is refined. Yeah, that's actually why they knew each other, and we'll get into what Mr. H says about Joshua's past and how much of it might be true. Soul is an abstract matter revealed through our research into life and death, and a component in the makeup of the atmosphere, humans, will, thought, all phenomena. As Reapers execute the game, they undergo a process of evolution from grunts to officers to the composer. However, Reapers that follow the ideal route are rare, and most are erased by players. Reaper or player, those erased within the game, disperse the mind and spirit housed within their flesh in the form of soul. Thus, they are only erased from visible existence. Their soul persists in the UG until gathered and tied together to a new code. So basically, when you die in the UG, your soul gets thrown into the air and it can be used as power for other things and everything. So this code is essentially imagination. Given sufficient imagination, any form is possible, be it a pin or a Reaper. So the Reapers use the soul that's from previously erased people to make the noise and to make the pins. Variations in this code cause the soul to manifest in different forms. In other words, humans, Reapers, and noise are all entities formed of soul. The only difference is their code. And what are the noise? Entities without conscious will, only the drive to multiply. Thus they constantly thirst for soul, attacking players and possessing humans in the real ground. Soul consumed by noise is destroyed even if the noise is erased. Thus, possessed humans often exhibit a rush of euphoria immediately after the noise is removed. Though untested, the same would likely hold if a player or Reaper. Though untested, the same would likely hold where a player or Reaper possessed. Pretty much, yeah. The energy they had within them gets tossed into the void, into the huge pool, and people can, if they have enough imagination, basically if they know what they're doing and have enough power, they can take the soul or the energy and give it a code and turn it into like a pin or a Reaper or an entire, or they could reconstruct a person if they knew what they were doing. And then on day 5, there's one thing I want to show off, so I'll go ahead and hop over to the 5th day. Wasn't it on this day? No, it was on the 4th day, my bad. I'm gonna head over to 4th day. I thought it was... So, let me just show off something. Hey Neku, I said I want to go 10-4. Yeah, it's just some money. So that's one of those things where if you look on the chapters here, get the Mrs. Claus outfit. I said I want to go shopping. Basically, that's a hint. You have to get somebody to say somebody or talk to a specific person or prompt a certain bit of dialogue. And that's one of the stars. One of the things you need to do to get that day's secret report. Oh shoot, did I just start the day again? I did. Anyway, so yeah, that wasn't what I wanted to show off. Gotta talk to them in a minute. It's something that Shiki says in the 104 that I wanted to show off, so. Or 10-4, 104. So this is... Oh. Okay. So... Yep, the clothes I've got on too. She made the clothes she has on. That's because she's currently looking like Shiki. She made the clothes Shiki is wearing. She's technically right. She's technically right that she made the clothes she's wearing, but the only reason she's wearing those clothes is because she made them for Eerie, and she looks like Eerie right now. Oh my gosh. This game is so consistent with a lot of small details. Anyway. And then there was something I wanted to point out that you can see when Rhyme gets erased. So we'll head over there now. Bring me so many pins. I have all the pins. I have all the pins. Here we go. Okay. It's in this cutscene here. When we go up here. And then top screen, you see Beat, a flash of Beat trying to save Rhyme from a car. That's when they died. He's getting a flash of that, I'm guessing, where they're showing that. And it doesn't make any sense, and you really don't notice it because you're like, what the heck? Rhyme is dead. But yeah, it's... There's also something else I want to point out with Neku's reaction once we get through this.
That was nothing.
Yeah, Beat and Rhyme died when Rhyme came running after Beat, um, but didn't see a car because he was running out of the house after fighting with their parents again, and she didn't see the car coming. He did. He jumped and tried to save her, but in the end, they both got hit by the car, and that's how they died. Yeah, Beat really really beats himself up over it for a long time and blames himself for it.
Hey!
Yep, that's what that car was. It was a Flash. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Beat. I'm guessing it's supposed to be Beat's, like, he's like, probably like, oh no, not again, or like, you know, whatever. And you wouldn't really understand what it is until later. Like I said, there's a lot of little details like that where if you play back through the game, or when you're playing back through the game so you can get all the secret reports, it's stuff you notice. Which is part of the reason why I wanted you to just not read the secret reports, but also show off some of this stuff. Oh shoot, I missed it. But he said, man, I feel like crap. This is just like that one time. What one time? ... I can't remember. He doesn't have the memories, but he feels just like that one time when his friend died before from the car accident and he blamed himself. He feels like crap. That's why he has such a visceral reaction to Rhyme's death. And that's why he's like, who needs friends if all that happens is that you get hurt from them? He's just trying to push people away so he doesn't have to feel bad about it anymore. Did we... How do we have... Bashing it. Pin mastery. So we don't have one of the pin mastered all of a sudden? Did we have to turn it in for something? It's probably a money pin, right? Shoot, now I've got to go back later and figure out which one we had to turn in for something. Whatever, I'll figure that out later. Okay, so where were we? I think day 5, yeah? Yeah. The real ground and underground are planes of existence. Other planes exist as well, the one inhabited solely by noise, for example, or our customary plane. The planes are stacked in parallel, though each exists at a different frequency vibe in tune with its inhabitants. Observing a lower plane from a higher plane is simple. Actual transplanar contact, while possible, is highly complex. The vibes of adjacent planes are closer, making passage between them comparatively easier. Basically, think of it like a layer cake or something. So you have base reality on the bottom, and then above that you have the UG, and people on the UG can see everything that's going on below them and like the regular plane, but people in the regular plane, most of them can't like look up and see what's going on in the UG with everybody running around in the Reaper's game and everything. And then there's a plane above that, which the UG, which is apparently where Mr. H is from. And while it's easy to see between the two, it's harder to move between the two, and if you tried to move more than one layer at a time, it would get even more complicated. More distant planes show greater differences in vibe frequencies and thus communion becomes more difficult. The UG exists just above the RG, allowing those in the UG to observe the RG, but not vice versa. Noise exists on a special plane that straddles both the RG and the UG, enabling their interference in the affairs of both. When players come into contact with noise, they are drawn to the noise plane. So when we fight the noise, we are being dragged into a layer between the real world and the UG, or underground. And that's supposed to be what that battle area is, a place between both. In other words, players are forcibly tuned into the noise plane. Conversely, there exists an even higher plane than the RG and UG. That's where I am from, the plane of angels, so the first mention of angels. As in the RG and UG, angels have created a web of social schema to guide their activities. The role of producer is just one cog in the angel machine. Basically, he's saying that just like Reapers or regular people, angels have their own society, and his job is just one of many in their society. Angel vibes are extremely high frequency, not even the composer can catch them all. In actuality, he can only pick up on that of the producer. So even if there's other angels hanging around, even Joshua probably doesn't know about it, so they might be hanging around checking things out, but nobody would really be able to see them unless they let them see them. As you can see, interplanar contact is beset by difficulty, but certain modes do exist for its realization. One is the modular decal. Within its area of effect, players from the UG can manifest visibly in the RG and communicate with others there. So that's the decal that's put on the front of shops so that people can like buy things from there and talk to the people like in the shop and everything. Reapers and the composer can down-tune their vibes at will. Near these decals, however, even their vibes will be forcibly adjusted to the lower frequency. Another mode, imprinting, requires no physical manifestation in the RG. Imprintees experience the conferred thoughts as bursts of inspiration. The reliability of these communiques thus depends on the person receiving it. For example, successful communication with preoccupied people is unlikely. Therefore, the recipient interpretation of said inspiration colors the message, making imprinting unreliable at best. Reaper Creeper was created as a mode of popular communication between the planes, modulating paralogos printed on paper to allowing for limited UG interaction with real ground objects. As though in the RG are unaware players, they perceive the illusion of a coin moving by itself. A lot of this first week's secret reports are just laying down the foundations of what the RG and the UG is, and a lot of this other stuff. Later into the secret reports, it starts getting more into like what was going on in the background. I received periodic communication from the composer while we maintain contact. I am prohibited from providing him with information for risk of unbalancing the game. I am permitted only to respond to his commissions for certain items, and even then I am only able to create and deliver said items. The composer has requested increased phone functionality for the use in the next game. So Joshua was like, hey, I need you to make some stuff so I can do more stuff with the phones. Yeah, he uses a lot of big words, so trying to like put it in plain English, because he uses a lot of big words. Sometimes I think just for the sake of using big words. Today the proxy's partner, when Shiki Miyazaki freed herself from her defining value, envy. With this, the composer is convinced of the proxy's victory on the 7th day. His confidence arises because the proxy's intervention was indispensable in causing his partner's growth. It signals the proxy's departure from his obsessive self-actualization loop. Previously, even the composer was unsure of his proxy's capacity for growth. So basically, he's saying that Joshua is confident that they'll win on the 7th day because Neku helped Shiki get out of her funk and get over her envy of her friend. And he got out of, and part of that was because he stopped focusing on himself so much and started to open up to Shiki and the people around him. Normally, the composer possesses a certain degree of clairvoyant foresight. His current down-tuned state, however, limits his abilities, clouding his supertemporal vision. So basically, usually he's able to kind of predict what's going to happen or see what will probably happen, but he can't as much because he's limiting himself for the sake of the game between him and Shades. Though able to observe the Yuji from the real ground, he is otherwise saddled with limitations. For one, his outward appearance. He looks younger than he would at full vibe frequency within the UG. Fortunately, this prevents the Reapers from recognizing him as the composer. To begin with, the composer contacts Reapers only through the conductor, so most are unaware of what he looks like. Additionally, as the being in the underground with the highest vibe, some lesser Reapers are incapable of perceiving him. The effects of downtuning occur because the composer's vibe and the RG's frequency are substantially different. For Reapers, the downtuning necessary to exist in the RG is significantly less, and thus affects less prominent changes. Joshua is old? Yes. He is like a fully grown man, but he looks young because that's not how he looks usually. The downtuning necessary to exist in the RG is significantly less, and thus affects less prominent changes. That said, it depends on the Reaper. At any rate, the effect is minimal, making Reapers much more frequent visitors to the real ground. Provided they complete their duties, Reapers may do as they wish within the RG within accepted boundaries. So basically this is saying the reason why Joshua's appearance changes so much between what he usually looks like and what he looks like in week 2 and everything is because it's like him, the difference between the layer he's at, which is like slightly above like even the UG stuff usually, is it's a lot bigger step for him to go down to where everybody else is than for the Reapers to step down to where everybody else is, because that's why they have the wings and the UG but not in the RG. So in like the regular world they don't have their wings, and that's the difference, and that's why they say that a Reaper's power is housed in its wings, because they don't have them in the real ground. So they can still walk around and pretend to be like normal people usually. Some people can see them apparently, because you can scan people, and sometimes like there's a thought bubble that's like, I thought I saw somebody with wings. So some people can better perceive those kind of things than others, but for the most part, nobody will know. That's why 777 was able to continue on with his band thing, because even though he was a Reaper, like they don't really care what you do as long as you don't like break the rules. Like they mentioned at one point that Reapers killing people so they can get more people playing the game is a no-no. As the composer predicted, the proxy has won the game. So what happens to those who survive the week? Those with imagination is less than outstanding are broken down into soul, while those with excellent imagination become Reapers. The most talented of these may travel to the next plane inhabited by us, angels. Diligent Reapers too may pass through the office of composer to descend to the plane of angels. Now, a what if? This may sound odd, but one may also choose to be reincarnated. Well, the word reincarnation is not quite accurate, for the humans of the UG are not truly dead. They merely possess different soul code and have been tuned into a different plane. We angels do not consider it a loss if a talented player elects to return to the real ground, as their superior imagination will inspire other humans. So he's saying, I know it sounds odd, guys, people playing angels who are on the higher plane, but what if somebody chooses to return back to life? Upon returning to life, the exceptional player's creative activities soon make their mark upon society. His art, music, and other output become a part of culture, spreading and persisting through time, refining people's imagination even without personal contact with the player. Certainly this requires time, but no one has ever accused angels of being in a hurry. The composer's absence during this particular game, however, means that reincarnation is not an option. So Shades doesn't have the power to bring people back to life. Only the composer and people above him do. Only the composer possesses the level of imagination necessary to reincarnate. It is beyond the conductor's means. The conductor continues to act as if the composer were present, but this farce can only continue for so long. I will be waiting with great curiosity to see how the conductor responds once his ruse unravels. As I was busy writing reports, the boy in my custody, Beat, went missing. Beat had expressed curiosity in how noise was created. Perhaps he plans to ask a Reaper, but even without specific instruction from them, he has the ability now. I gave him a pen filled with the special imagination required to create noise and imprinted him with instructions for its use. So basically, Mr. H put the idea and gave the ability to Beat to create rhyme from her pen. This does not qualify as interference in the game. The information I give him will have no impact on the game's results. It was merely a token of my esteem for his unflinching passion towards what he holds dear. Whether he uses this power and how is completely up to him. This is him justifying to the people who he's reporting to, the other angels, why he did that, because he's not supposed to be, like, interfering or anything. Okay, so day 1. There's a lot of, I think pretty much every day in week 2, I'm going to be doing something, so, on that day, or showing off something in that day. Was it on that day? Oh, no, I know what that means. Okay. I was like, I wrote down what I need to do the next day, but...
He's got opinion. I'm posting suggestion, but never reveals his name.
Pretty much I just wanted to show off the first interaction between Joshua and Sho Minamoto. Because it makes more sense now, knowing what we know about both of them.
That was nothing. That's how it's done.
Bomb screen when Joshua was useless.
Open up your senses.
Oh, that's right, we gotta watch through this again.
Watch yourself.
This is ease it up. Sweet. Rest in peace.
Interesting. Those noise from the tutorials don't drop any pins. Otherwise they would have. So keep in mind, Sho Minamoto knows what Joshua looks like, because he went to the RG, he tracked him down to the RG when he was wandering around trying to find the person who would represent him, so that he could try and kill him. So he knows what Joshua looks like. He recognizes him as the composer. You're a player this time around? Now that's a happy miscalculation. Day 1 and GM's putting in an appearance? Not one for tradition, are you? You're not following the rules, are you? Tradition is garbage. I'll add it to the heap. This is my game. I'd heard you were quite the eccentric. Some old horses can always hear their owner approach. Both saying, I know who you are, I know you're my boss, and also saying, it takes one to know one. I've heard you're quite the eccentric too.
You're good as gone.
This is why,
This is nothing.
what the heck? Why aren't we doing any damage to this guy? Oh, there we go.
This is nothing.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't take any damage from the front. I forgot about that.
This is nothing.
That was nothing. That's how it's done.
This is also why Sho Minamoto continues to mess around with Neku and Joshua, because he knows who Joshua is, so he'll mess with him a little bit and try and get him. But after the first couple days, he goes back to his original plan. It's like he formulates the plan to blow himself up and take Joshua with him. On this day, you can fight the Sho Minamoto Taboo. Boss symbol number 86. So we'll do that in a minute. First, let's read day 1 of the second week. So, as predicted by the composer, his proxy has entered the game a second time. The proxer has proven his aptitude and will be joined in the next game by the composer himself as the new partner. There are 3 reasons behind the composer's choice of actions. 1, to ascertain the conductor's strategy. 2, to educate his proxy. And 3, to protect him. With his return to the UG, the limits on the composer's abilities will be relaxed. However, using his abilities could reveal his identity. This is why he's got more power than a normal person. It's not because he's alive, which is a convenient excuse for him. But rather because he's the composer and he's just downtailing his abilities, and also why he said he didn't want to do that, but ends up blasting away that taboo noise in one shot. As such, he will need to continue to limit himself for a while longer. This presents a certain set of risks. The greatest risk, however, lies with the composer joining the proxy for this game. When he's talking about proxy, he's talking about Neku. The composer's presence his tremendously high vibe will place a great deal of physical and psychological strain on the proxy. So it's not that Joshua is acting like an abrasive guy. His power is literally such that he actually puts a lot of mental strain and physical strain on Neku. Furthermore, the proxy's victory in the previous game has won him back his memory. The self-actualization loop binding the proxy is thus stronger than ever and more deeply ensconced than even the envy cleared from Shiki in the previous game. So basically, now that Neku's got his memories back, he remembers now why he was pushing away people, and he might slip back into his old habits again. There is a possibility of the proxy's soul destabilizing, negating its progress during the previous game. Slight problems also persist with the proxy's personality. How long will the proxy be able to bear being side by side with the composer? So day 2. Today an alert was handed down, the discovery of a fallen angel. A fallen angel is one who has broken the angel's code. a criminal. Their crime, revealing the secrets of Taboo Noise Refinery to the game master Minamoto. Minamoto knows the composer's RG identity, secret even to the conductor, and has changed him to the real ground. The fallen angel may have also supplied him with this information. Minamoto lusts to take the composer's place, and his potential to do so comes only second to that of the conductor. Despite being a complete outsider in the wager between composer and conductor, he stands to hinder the composer greatly. It is entirely possible Minamoto may rise to the office of conductor before this wager has been decided. All eyes from the higher plane are on this game for the future of Shibuya. Should this result be invalidated by the outside interference, the Angel's disappointment would be vast. So, what is the Fallen Angel's goal? Dominion over the underground? Retribution against the Angels? Whatever the case, we must carefully monitor Minamoto's actions and stay vigilant against this fallen angel. Okay, so let's go and find... So, the Minamoto symbol... Oh, we have to scan him a minute. Like I said, that cutscene is important, but it also plays a bunch. So, just fast forwarded through it. Anyway. Oh gosh. Man, that took a while, and I was fast forwarding and like skipping through all the dialogue as fast as possible. Anyway. Okay, so what we're looking for is a blue noise symbol, and I don't remember exactly where it is.
Open up your senses.
I guess the best way of looking would be to just take a look around, see what we have access to. So it's probably... Okay, gotta throw Joshua into the... What was it? The... Musratus? No. The other thing. Dragon Torture? No. There it is. Nope, not Sheep Heavenly. Was it Sheep Heavenly? No, it was Natural Puppy. Okay, and then where to from here? Let's head up this way. Scanning, just seeing if it's around. It should be like a blue noise symbol. Can't get through there yet.
Focus.
Come on. Ah, I wasn't able to grab both at the same time. Whatever.
Don't make this worse for yourself. Go away. This is nothing. That was quick. Not bad. Don't make this worse for yourself. Go away. This is good work, Neku. Rest in peace. That's how it's done. I'm in paradise. Focus. Watch yourself. Battle, this is nothing. This is fun. Good work, Neku. Rest in peace. That's how it's done. Open up your senses.
I think it might be over this way.
Focus.
Yeah, I think it's over this way.
Focus.
Yep, there it is. That symbol right there. So that's Sho Minamoto in his taboo form during week 3. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into that battle in a minute. We're not supposed to be able to win this battle. In the actual, like, first time we fight him. Use Zeta Sons of Digits. Yeah, the boss fights are like that, which is good because otherwise you could fight beat with beat.
All right, it's time. That's how it's done.
Yeah, he also drops Black Saturn, so he drops one of the 6 black planets. Which makes sense because you're not supposed to be able to beat him actually in the main game, and it's on Ultimate, so. Okay, so day 3. I was finally able to hand over the phone tracking application the composer requested some time back. I informed the composer it was ready 3 days ago, but they apparently had no time to come pick it up. It just shows how carefully the proxy is planning each move. The application detects the conductor's imagination. With it, one can walk around Shibuya and piece together the conductor's strategy. So basically, what the tracker was tracking was bits of the composer's like will or imagination or like power around the city. That's why it reacted to the pin so strongly. And while it was reacting to Sho Minamoto's junk heaps, that's just because of the huge amount of like power or ideas or imagination that was surrounding them. So it was kind of throwing it off. That's why it needed to be fine-tuned later. At this point, even I cannot fathom the conductor's plan. I will have to rely on the information gathered by the composer. While I wait for his findings, I will work on the composer's next order, a second revision to the phone's functionality. Today also marks my first contact with the proxy since he formed a pact with the composer. He appears considerably wary of his partner at present time. As expected, the psychological strain is severe, so severe in fact that most players would be unable to continue. Right now the only thing keeping the proxy in the game is his entry fee. At least his dangerously strained state of mind is acting to heighten his soul. I saw no sign of relapse or destabilization, rather the return of his memory seems to have yielded only positives. I look forward to watching the proxy's continued growth. So let's actually jump into day 3 a minute, because there's something I want to talk about. Because in this day we get something from. So basically, Mr. H talks about Joshua. And I want to talk about how much of it is true and how much of it is probably not. How much of it is not true and how much of it could be true, I guess. Because we don't know for sure.
Focus.
Have fun, Neku. Farewell. This is nothing. Good work, Neku.
Good work, Neku.
Predictable. Have fun, Neku. Good. This is good. Keep it up. Good work, Neku. Rest in peace. That's how it's done.
Come on, where's the last one? There it is. Very good work.
Have fun, Neku. See ya. Good. This is nothing.
Really wasn't.
Easy.
And I know this seems really easy, and it is, but that's only because I've grinded so much. Like, we're on the hardest difficulty. Anyway. Although I suppose it is, like, week 2 still, so. You know. 2/3 of the way through the game. So yeah. Gotta head up here. So here we go, Joshua. So how do you two know each other? What, me and Josh? I've known him for a while now. He'd swing by when he was bored and we'd talk. Probably true. See, he's a little special. Yeah, he sees things. I see dead people kind of things? Pretty much. That's how he knew about the game. Is this true? This is certainly possible that Joshua knew about the game even before he died, or before he got into the game himself. This strikes me as certainly possible. I certainly see it as quite possible that it's true that Joshua actually used to... It's definitely true that he and Mr. H are pretty good friends. And that he likes talking to him and everything. And I certainly find it quite plausible that somebody who is able to become the composer would be able to see the game even before he was dead or anything like that. It seems very plausible to me. So I think that bit is true. That's probably the only real bit that we know about Joshua. Anyway, day 4. The composer reports indicate rough going in his investigation. I suspect the limits upon his abilities. Meanwhile, Minamoto has not issued any missions. The Reaper's elite must be alarmed as well. Perhaps this is more of the fallen angel's influence. As I've stated, Minamoto is suspected of a liaison with a fallen angel. The fallen angel may have chosen Minamoto for a few reasons. First, none desired the composer's office more. Minamoto's obsession was great enough to compel him to pursue the composer into the real ground. Unlike simple Reapers, however, the composer's powers are not lost in the RG. I can just imagine the shock dawning on Minamoto's face as I write this. So basically, yeah, I think he actually says it here. Yes, the composer must downtune to the frequency of the real ground, limiting his powers. However, Minamoto is in the same boat. As a result, the difference in their abilities remained unchanged. Thus, the assassination attempt failed. This is what Minamoto was doing in that flashback when he tries to shoot Joshua. While Minamoto's efforts were fruitless, they serve as ample proof of his convictions. The second reason the fallen angel may have targeted him is his lack of loyalty to the Reaper's organization and his preference for solo action. His distaste for cooperation meant little chance of him revealing the fallen angel's presence. The third reason is his consistently unconventional aesthetic. His bizarre actions regularly cause confusions among those around him. Even if the fallen angel were to urge him to do something out of the ordinary, that would be ordinary for him. No one would suspect a thing. He's such an oddball that even if he does something odd, nobody will suspect a thing, even if it's being urged on by somebody else. This is why he's an ideal target for a fallen angel to work his agenda without raising suspicion. At least it seems a logical conclusion. The question now is, why has Minamoto abandoned the game and what is he doing? I suspect that his only current objective is to take out the composer. If so, he is likely preparing for the 7th day and his opportunity to confront the players. Just what did the fallen angel tell Minamoto? Perhaps no one will ever know. Yep. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. Well, no, I think I'll just explain it, because then we'd have to go through literally all the stuff with the mystery and everything. Basically, all I was going to show is that Minamoto was, you know, making that taboo noise signal, and he was spouting off like some numbers and stuff. Anyway, so let's go ahead and read day 5. So the proxy feels an affection for the art of the designer Cat, myself. As he was picked by the composer, this is hardly coincidence, it was an inevitability. Cat's creative works are embedded with command codes. His art acts as a medium for mass imprinting. So Cat's works act as as a medium so he can put an idea in a lot of people's heads at once. The imprinting players use works only on an individual basis. However, through art, one can affect anyone who comes into contact with the work. I imbue my art with 2 command codes. The first is to enjoy the moment more. This strengthens the imagination. The proxy received this signal loud and clear, though past trauma precluded him from responding accordingly. So basically, it's just turning what is basically inspiration from a painting or a piece of music or something into like an actual physical force. They do that a lot in this like expanded universe stuff. And while Neku got the message to enjoy the moment more, he misinterpreted it and how that was to be applied. Instead of focusing on expanding his world through other people and expanding his boundaries and enjoying the moment that way, he decided to focus in on himself and enjoying the sake for, like, enjoying the moment through what makes him happy and putting himself before anybody else. The second code, Gather, calls to those with strong imagination, hence the inevitability. Why wouldn't the composer find his worthy proxy standing in front of my graffiti? A single reason exists for rigging my art this way. The creation of the future requires imagination. My art is widely accepted in Shibuya. This proves that those with imaginations sufficient to create the future are gathering in the area. Shibuya's future is looking very bright. So this is kind of an interesting deviation from what Joshua, or the composer, believes, because the composer wants to get rid of Shibuya because he feels like it's becoming a bad example. And however, Mr. H sees Shibuya as promising. So there's actually a boss fight, and something else that I want to point out that we can only understand now that we have more context. I'm trying to think where. Wouldn't be right here, would it? Bum tracker, yeah. I'm getting too many hits. There's too many bums all around. Looking for boss fight noise. And then there's honestly nothing else that I want to point out in the third week. Third week is pretty straightforward because it's beat. There's a boss battle, optional boss battle that I want to show off in week 3, and then there's one more after this day. There's one more boss battle in this week as well. So getting pretty close to actually. D&B. Oh, that's why. Okay. Now I know I didn't have a full collection, is because I had some of the pins in my deck. Anyway. The game gets weird like that. Like, to get 100% on the save screen here, that is all the pins you have currently on you. Not all the pins you have had or mastered overall, just what the ones you have on you. No? I'm still missing one? Anyway. What was I doing? Oh yeah, D&B. Sadly, you cannot wear D and B.
Watch yourself. Yeah. You are done. This is nothing. Got this. Sweet. That'll do. There, whip it up. This is Predictable. That was a nice distraction.
Yeah, look at that. D&B was like half damage because it was the lowest rated like brand around when we went into that battle, and then it just immediately jumps up to number 1. Okay. Whoops. Kendoi. Instant noodles. 580. Musrata stuff.
Focus.
Still looking for that boss fight. I'm guessing it's gonna be outside of where we usually go. It usually is. It's usually hidden behind like a place where you can only get to after you.
Watch yourself. You are done.
Farewell. This is nothing. That'll do. Not bad. Farewell. Farewell. This is not bad. Predictable. That was a nice distraction.
Open up your senses.
Anyway, so there's the boss fight, but there's also this bit here with Mr. H, where he says he'll be out. Yeah. So this is again him talking about the so it seems unlikely that both Mr. H and Joshua would like come up with a backstory for Joshua. Like they would sit down and do that. It seems more likely that what they're telling is the truth, but not the whole truth. The idea that Joshua could see people in the UG even before he came to the game and everything. Because they're both consistent on this. And as far as we know, they never talked about this. So it seems very likely that that's actually true. Anyway. Gonna do before I head out? Well, where are you going? Just a little errand. Shop's closed for today. Later, boys. 2323. So, part of the reason I wanted to show when Sho was doing that taboo noise sigil, where he where he reincarnates himself from, basically, or remakes himself from in week 3, is because he also says 2323 to start out with. Remember, he's saying all those numbers. And we know for a fact that what's his face, or Mr. H went and messed around with that sigil at one point. We had that picture of him doing that. That's why we went over to the Cat Cafe after that day in week 3. That's what this errand is. Also, when you actually get Joshua looking pretty serious at some points, when like Neku's showing a good amount of growth or something, like he'll be silent for a little bit and be serious and being like, he's doing pretty good, and then he'll immediately switch back to being abrasive and stuff. One of the points when he's serious is when he first sees the taboo noise sigil, because obviously he knows what it is, and he also knows that there must be somebody telling Minamoto how to make this. So there must be a fallen angel. So he actually stands there and is like thinking for a little bit and serious for a little bit before they move on. Again, here he's also serious, wondering about Mr. H's errand. And so, just like little things like that, where you can, when you play back through it again, you're like, oh, he's thinking about that, or he must have that in mind, or stuff like that. There's a lot of that in week 2. Like, that's why we spent so much time with week 2. There's not really a lot of that in week 3. Anyway, let's go find that boss fight.
Watch yourself.
This is nothing. What the hell? Got this. This is nothing. That'll do.
What the hell? Yo, man, we in trouble.
Go away.
That's how it's done. Huh?
Yeah, like right there. Like, where he's kind of like, huh, he's doing pretty good. And then he immediately switches back to bratty mode. Anyway, let's look around for that boss fight, and then we can move on to the next day.
Open up your senses.
Is it over here again?
Open up your
Nope.
senses.
It might be over by Utagawa. That would make sense. Usually the boss fights are in a place that makes sense. Yep, here it is. So this is the boss fight between this boss fight is the boss fight with Berserk, Uzaki, and Berserk, those two Reapers. So I wanted to show this off because I'm hoping that as long as I put the partner on manual, we'll and we wait long enough, we'll be able to see their fusion attack, because we didn't see that during the main game. So I'm gonna let them build up a combo here, basically, and yeah, I'll let them build up a combo, and then they should use their fusion attack. Yeah, I know. There we go. Yeah, they're the only two, like, people that get a fusion attack as well. Yep. It's not huge and flashy, but it is neat that they have a fusion attack and the whole, like puck thing as well, just like flares do. Unfortunately, they only have it, as far as I know, in their Berserk form, so you can't actually get like what they actually would say, rather than just like the grunts and groans. As far as I know, it's possible that that's true, but as far, like, I've played that boss fight a couple of times and they never have done it. Anyway.
That's how it's done.
Anyway, so did we read day 5? Yeah, we did. One moment, got us. Sorry, I just need a minute. Okay. So day 6. Was there anything we needed to do on day 6? Yes, there was another boss fight. And I remember where that one is, actually. So let's move over to day 6. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and read today's secret report, and then I will find the boss a minute. I finished revision 2 of the phone tracking app, which allows it to detect the Shibuya River. The composer aims to use this device to convey the river's location to the proxy. Before passing that knowledge along, the composer needed to understand the conductor's plan. As of yesterday, he felt confident in his hypothesis. Because remember, the day before this, they find out about the pins, about the ramen store and everything. This is what Joshua was talking about when he's talking about the overnight success of the ramen shop, the pins and everything. He's putting 2 and 2 together on what the composer's plan is. Not the composer, the conductor's plan is. Shades. The composer has encountered res skull pins everywhere the detector had led. The same pins I created at the conductor's behest on the first day. As I suspected, they form a prime piece of his strategy. The imagination he has filled those pins with is the same as those in the player imprinting. They are set apart, however, by a single major difference. The red skull pins were made to imprint targets with the conductor's will. Anyone wearing the red skull pin is dominated by the conductor's mind. The further the pins spread, the more people he controls. However, the red skull pins have penetrated less than half of Shibuya's real-grown population in the last 2 weeks. At this rate, the conductor's strategy will end in failure. How does he intend to penetrate the rest of Shibuya? I will be monitoring his closets closely. Okay, I actually remember where this boss fight is, so let's head up this way.
You're good as gone.
This is nothing. See ya. This is nothing.
So, who's next? That's how it's done.
Keep moving. Nah, he doesn't actually get erased if we just make a break for it. Anyway, the noise I'm talking about this time around is this one here. It is the Grindcore Minx.
Watch yourself.
This is nothing.
These are some of the optional bosses that are noise-based. We already fought the fox during the main playthrough. The one that could use was the other one that could use a fusion attack. And then the other optional boss we'll fight after this, once we get to that day in the secret reports. This is actually the last one,
Predictable.
last thing until day 5 of next week. So
That's how it's done.
let's go ahead and go through the rest of these. The finals day mission came from the conductor. Eliminate Minamoto. Unexpected as it was, tension ran high, but the composer's quick thinking saved the day. In the end, all went according to plan, and he successfully guided the proxy on to the next game. His solution entailed first defeating Minamoto, thereby ensuring the proxy's victory. Secondly, the composer pretended to be erased by Minamoto while shielding the proxy. To accomplish this, he fled to a parallel world just before Minamoto's final attack connected. The proxy survived the game alone, but was again unable to elect reincarnation due to the composer's illegal participation in the game. For better or worse, the game between the composer and the conductor concludes in 1 week's time. The conductor's strategy may end in failure, but we will see. I need to keep a close eye on his future actions. All I can do is wait for the composer to inform me of which parallel world he escaped to. That's the world from Another Day. That's why Joshua is there. That's why he says he's waiting for his ride. He's waiting for that Mr. H to come and pick him up because he doesn't have enough energy to drag himself back over to the original timeline yet. I've begun patrolling Shibuya in pursuit of the conductor's strategy. While in Utagawa, I spotted Minamoto's Taboo Noise Refinery sigil. Several types of these sigils exist in various categories, which we of the higher plane have classified. Not all of them, however, will work in the UG. Its vibe frequency is simply too low for them to translate properly. The sigil Minamoto drew was one of these undecodable types. Was that a mistake on the Fallen Angel's part, or was it a transcription error by Minamoto? Basically, he's saying that Minamoto, either by the fallen angel's fault or his own fault, use something that won't work, basically. Like, it technically should work, but there's not like enough energy around it or whatever to actually work. Either way, with that design, he stands little chance of reviving himself. However, Minamoto is driven and his imagination is strong, perhaps strong enough to make a taboo sigil work even in the underground. If so, the specific result would be impossible to predict. Anything that might interfere with the composer and the conductor's wager is to be avoided at any cost. I will personally neutralize Minamoto's sigil. Angels may not interfere in the Reaper's game, but this contest will decide Shibuya's future. The higher plane cannot idly stand by. Meanwhile, the conductor has dealt a preemptive blow. The starting player count in this final game is 1. I cannot be certain whether the conductor knows that Neku Sakuraba is the proxy, but this severe restriction in the number of entrants ensures player erasure. In this flagrant abuse of his privilege, he has eliminated the threat of the proxy. With the composer still in a parallel world, the proxy's position is perilous. Still, as producer, I am bound by the rules. I can offer him no help. All I can do is guide him to the Shibuya River. Call it luck or fate, even by himself the proxy has managed to form a pact. He's partnered to Beat, now a Reaper, who is himself fixated on reaching the river. As such, guiding the proxy will require little work on my part. Still, I haven't uncovered the conductor's strategy for this final week. I can't afford to relax quite yet. The conductor has used Beat's betrayal as an excuse to issue an emergency call. With it, the composer's rules for the UG are essentially suspended. After weeks of concealing the composer's absence, the conductor finally has absolute authority. At the same time, he's made the red skull pins mandatory for all Reapers. Now most of Shibuya has a red skull pin. The stage has been set for the conductor's counterattack. Furthermore, he's cordoned off each of the UG with walls. I could leave the UG, elevate my vibe, and pass through them quite easily, but to what end? I am bound to the UG, and thus my hands are tied. I cannot reach the composer, nor do I know which parallel world he's hiding. For now, all I can do is use my second sight to watch the game's progress. Rather than head to the Shibuya River, the proxy has begun wandering the streets, apparently in pursuit of the Game Master. Kanishi, this round's Game Master, seems mainly interested in saving her own skin. She appears a loyal follower of the conductor, but the appearance of a promising candidate for a composer would quickly change her tune. At this point, she's been working hard to recover the conductor's trust after her slip the first day. I don't remember what the slip the first day was. I don't know exactly what it was. I've looked back and tried to see. I don't know exactly what they're talking about here. Maybe she questioned, like, the composer's ideas or something. I don't know. Who knows? She has issued a single 6-day mission, one that exploits Beat's greatest weakness, rhyme. Her plan is to panic the pair into committing some fatal error while keeping watch from her front row seat within Beat's shadow. This serves both to restore her standing with the conductor and to avenge the blow to her pride. Beat's greatest desire is to bring her back to life. Even if revived, though, Rhyme still lost the game. Her entry fee is non-refundable. I do not know what the girl's entry fee was, but a life without it, the thing she held most dear, would be filled with grief and hardship. Was the void in one's heart caused by loss never filled? I think it can be. It may take time, but something else will come along to fill that empty space, so long as one enjoys the present. In other words, we needn't mourn the loss of that which we hold dear. If only more people realize this. The composer did not impose the entry fee upon players to cause them anguish. Experiencing life without the thing one most values, players are forced to re-examine just how crucial those things really are. The hope is that by the close of the game, players will be able to take a hard look at themselves and be able to take on the future with a new outlook on life. The entry fee exists to force players to see the truth about themselves. It is a test posed by the composer to spur players' self-enlightenment. The conductor has begun his work with the red skull pins. By bringing Shibuya's collective consciousness in line with his own, he hopes to accomplish his goal of rebuilding Shibuya. The conductor's zeal was unparalleled among Reapers. His strong presence was central to the composer's ability to govern Shibuya, an area considered exceptionally chaotic even among the higher planes denizens. That the composer would consent to base his plans for Shibuya's destruction on a game with the conductor shows his unwavering trust in his subordinate. The unification of minds is the natural state of the higher plane. Given time, it might happen throughout the underground. The current Yuji, however, is not ready. People have erected walls around their minds dividing their collective consciousness. They coexist independently like the cells that make up a single human being. While the player pin holds imagination strong enough to pass through those walls, the pin's user-owned barriers are strengthened. That's why the red skull pins don't work on people who are holding player pins. Were that not the case, the incoming flood of other minds could erode at the user's own consciousness. Consequently, those who hold player pins cannot be scanned. Why does individuality exist? This is something the conductor has overlooked. Everything that exists has a purpose. Obsessed with his egotistic protection of Shibuya, the conductor has blinded himself to the facts. With his blind ego funneled into everyone in Shibuya, the city's destruction is not far off. So long as there is individuality, it is impossible to fully eliminate loneliness. There is no such thing as a shared reality. Even people who believe they share a connection are not truly connected. They must actually make contact, clash, and learn about each other through their foreignness. Differences should not be denied, they should be accepted and enjoyed. People must realize this if Shibuya is to be spared from destruction. I've detected an energy spike here. It would seem Minamoto has returned. I judged his revival unlikely after spotting his Taboo refinery sigil on the first day. What appears Minamoto's imagination is much stronger than I anticipated. The fallen angel must have completed the array for him, a troubling thought. Who can say what impact this will have on the composer and the conductor's game? Minamoto has one goal now, to find the composer and erase him. Minamoto has been tracking the composer's movements. He must know the composer frequents this cafe. Chances are he'll pay a visit himself. As for the composer, I have yet to receive any word from him. Could the composer's abilities now be so limited that he cannot even reach me? I may need to contact myself in the parallel worlds to help search for him. Let me expand on the concept of parallel worlds. In life, reality is made up of a continuous string of choices, and the consequences of those choices. Every time a choice is made, the option is not selected branches off and exists as its own reality, a parallel world. Countless numbers of such parallel worlds exist within a single plane, be it the RG or the UG, and travel among them is possible through the use of imagination. Theoretically, anyone can jump to a parallel world, but penetrating the membrane between worlds requires uptuning one's vibe. This limits the pools of beings able to make the trip. Additionally, stress caused by breaking through the barrier can pull down the traveler's base vibe. If the vibe dips, the frequency may be too low to pass through the barrier. In the worst cases, it may render the traveler unable to return to his or her own original world. So if you're strong enough, you can go between parallel worlds, but if you're just over the limit, if you just barely clear the fence to actually get over to the other world, you may not have enough energy to ever get back. Conversely, angels are beings meant to jump between worlds, thus such travel is a simple manner. Angels have a higher base vibe. Angels have a higher base vibe than the frequency of the underground, allowing them to leave the UG, then tune their vibe to that of the desired parallel world. Yeah, but parallel world jumping kind of works differently between different things. Okay, so that was day 5. So day 6, we actually have a boss fight on that day. Which one is that? Yeah, that's the Goth Metal Drake. So we'll hop into that, defeat that boss, optional boss, which is a one of those Drake enemies. So like the dragon ones. And it's also one of the ones that actually drops one of the Darklit planets. I think it's over this way, if I remember correctly. Gotta be careful now, there's a bunch of taboo noise that would like to jump me if I give them the chance. See, this is day 6. We can also show off the thing with Ken Doi, owner of that ramen shop, where he gets like slightly taken over and then you're like, whoa, what was that? I didn't get to show it off during the main playthrough because I thought it was on the 7th day instead. At least I think it's on this day.
That was nothing. That's how it's done.
Oh, that's right, I've turned off autoplay. Is it down here?
You themed a foundation. Open up
Nope.
your senses.
Ah, whatever.
In your mind. Don't what's out now, man. I'm digging it.
While we're searching for the boss, what anime was that, by the way?
I got this. You call that a fight? Don't what's out now, man. I'm digging
Oh, Steins Gate. Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard things about it, but I haven't actually watched it myself or read it.
easy. That's how it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it recommended. I just haven't gotten around to it. There's a lot of those. For example, like Grand Blue and all that. I haven't gotten around to that either.
Come back when you grow a pair. Hell yeah, that was tight.
Come on. He's got opinion. A posted suggestion, but never reveals his name. Read by someone, taken as a good one. But nobody knows who
Ready for a beatdown? I'm dumbass. I got this. I'm a good one, man. Come and get it. I got this. I'm digging it.
Oh, is there an order?
Done yet? That's how
Is there like different like versions of Steins Gate then? Because I know there's like there's a couple of series where it's like, yay, there's a lot of supplemental material. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
I know he does it at some point, but I don't remember what point it is, I guess. Alright, let's keep looking for this goth metal Drake. Where would it be? Well, if it's goth metal, then maybe it's over by the 777 stage.
anonymity annoying me all the time. It's like a 2-channel for people just relax, forget
I suppose I could look it up a minute.
Focus.
Yeah,
Day 5,
come on. He's got a
goth
I'm posted
metal
but never reveals his name.
Drake.
By someone taken as a good one, but nobody knows who wrote it. Few lies of the sentence lie, anonymity annoying me all the time. It's like
Tongue Zonka. Okay.
people just throw their anger, forget about those
It's over here somewhere, apparently.
Open up your senses.
Unposted suggestion, but never reveals his name.
Ready for a beatdown? I'm digging it.
The wiki says it's somewhere over here.
Good one, man. I'm digging it. Dumbass.
Easy.
Ready for a beatdown? I'm digging it. Good one, man. I got this. I'm digging it. Take that. Come and get it. Good one, man. Got this. Shred this. Quit hogging.
So, who's next? That's how it's done.
This is not it here. This is the noise version, or the taboo version of the Drakes. Although he is pretty tough too, and he's pretty cool too.
Easy.
Hell yeah. That was tight.
You deemed the foundation, holding up a record.
Focus.
You know it in your mind what it's like and how it's live.
I mean, it might have just been the sign.
The right to get another portion. You know now is the time to get ready. Put that ready.
Open up your senses.
Reality is full of immorality. Rich kids, they scared of the future. More sticky crust, that's what they like. Complex going on and on. Insanity in these nothing but vanity. Good creatures, they wallow with their holly on now, sweetie. Go kiss the king. You deemed the foundation.
Focus.
Nation. You know it in your mind what it's like and how it's live. You want the right resolution. The right
Open up your senses.
you know now.
We're on day 5, right? No, we're on day 6. That's a problem. That's the problem. Thought it was on day. I thought we were on day 5. We were on day 6.
You deemed the foundation, holding up a ragged nation. You know it in your mind what it's like and how it's.
Right place, wrong day.
What's out now, man? Nice try. I'm digging it. Sweet.
So, who's next? That's how it's done.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna check too. No? Shoot, I thought for sure. Anyway. So, should be somewhere around here. Somebody was saying it was above this. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Nah. Here it is, Goth Metal Drake.
Beat down. I'm digging it. I got this. Come on. I'm digging it.
Anyway, so that was the last optional boss. I think so, anyway. Is there any other optional bosses? I don't think he counts. I don't think he counts. Yeah. Anyway, so day 6. I have located the composer. He is in a world where Tin Pin Slammer, of all things, reigns supreme. I am off to retrieve him. Minamoto has definitely targeted this shop, and not with friendly intentions. It is essential that I leave here immediately. I will leave the keypin to the Shibuya River for the proxy. He should know what to do from there. Shibuya's fate has been placed in the proxy's hands. It is no longer safe for me in the UG. My work here is done. All that remains is to retrieve the composer from the parallel world and bring him back to this one. The composer defeated the conductor. Sorry, I just noticed the day was wrong. The composer defeated the conductor. The composer defeated the proxy. However, he has stated his decision to destroy Shibuya. It seems the course of the game has brought a change of heart in the composer. Yes, Shibuya persists, but is no longer the city it was a month ago. In its stead, a completely new Shibuya has arisen as the composer has changed, so Shibuya has itself has metamorphized. 1 month previous, Shibuya was plagued with problems, dire enough to motivate the composer to destroy it. Today, Shibuya has shifted into what we angels believe to be the optimal parallel world. To complete this puzzle, all of the pieces had to be set in their proper place. If even one was incorrect, the entire picture would be ruined. Rhyme's selfless display of kindness, Hishigawa's bottomless career ambitions, Konishi's heart of stone, the conductor's wild actions born from overflowing love. All of these were necessary if Shibuya was to be born anew. There are no extra pieces, no irrelevant components. Accept society as an ever-changing thing, and your mind will also become flexible. Individuals will link together and enact change throughout society. This is the only way to weather. No, to ride high upon the waves of the ever-changing world. It was no coincidence the composer opted for this simple method in the end. My gratitude goes out to you all. I greatly look forward to what this new Shibuya will become. Thank you. However, there's one more report.
Come on. He's got opinion. A posted suggestion, but never reveals his name. Read by someone, taken as a good one. But nobody knows who wrote it. Few lies of the sentence lie. Anonymity annoying me all the time. It's like a 2-channel where people just throw their anger. Forget about those foul.
One final report. To get this report, by the way, you have to beat him, collect the report for beat day 7, which requires you to collect pretty much every other, gosh dang it, report. So you have to collect some of the reports in order so that you can't read them out of order. I entered the parallel world and contacted the composer. Unexpectedly, he seemed to be enjoying his stay. In fact, the reason he had not contacted me because he was too busy playing Tin Pin. I made him promise to meet me at the Shibuya River. In the meantime, I need to hide out, so as not to meet myself in this world. Usually, angels existing as multiple entities within the same world poses little problem. However, mine is a somewhat special case. You see, I am the fallen angel who taught Minamoto how to refine taboo noise. Minamoto owes his successful rebirth to the corrections I made to his flawed taboo refinery sigil. I must hide in Port City for fear that my alternate self in this world may report me on sight. Minamoto is my backup plan to ensure Shibuya's survival. If the composer does not change his mind, this unique city will be lost. I must prevent that at any cost. Thus, I've deemed it necessary to cross the boundaries angels usually respect. I happily accept the stigma of fallen angel for this cause. Well then, it's about time to meet him. After calling the composer and hearing his cheery voice, I feel as if my shadow falls even darker. But darkness has always been husband delight. I sincerely hope that someday my sins will be judged justified. I still hold faith they will, now and forevermore. One last thing to the composer's pick. Neku Sakuraba, the future you must choose is within you. I'm glad to have had the chance to meet you. Mr. H was the fallen angel. He didn't want Shibuya to get erased, even at the cost of overstepping his boundaries and breaking the rules. He set up Minamoto, gave him the tools he needed to create the taboo noise. Even if it meant that his own friend would get erased, he didn't want to lose Shibuya. What he's looking at the top of Port City is not only to hide out though, but it's to take a look at this huge convergence of a giant noise symbol that you can see in the sky that can be observed from multiple worlds. That's what the extra day in the final version, the final mixed version in the Switch port is all about. It also sets up for a possible second game. As to the possibility of a second game, it's actually quite possible at this point. Tetsuya Nomura has not forgotten about this game and this world. He really does like this game. You can see this because A, it actually got a port even if it was a lazy port. B, he put it in Kingdom Hearts 3, the 3DS game for Kingdom Hearts. He put the characters from this game, Neku, Shiki, B, and Rhyme, and Joshua, into one of the worlds for that game. And they actually get full voice acting there. It's pretty neat. Maybe we'll play it on the channel at some point. But since I own it and everything. But the thing is, Tetsuya Nomura is Square Enix's golden boy. He has been working on every one of their big projects for a while now because he is their golden boy at this point. After the success of Kingdom Hearts and stuff. That doesn't mean he has forgotten, however, about this game, however. And now that he finally has Final Fantasy VII off of his plate, the Final Fantasy VII remake off his plate, he might be able to get a chance to actually make a sequel to this game. It's a shame they missed out on the 3DS life cycle, because that would have been the perfect system to put a The World Ends With You sequel on. However, he certainly has not forgotten about it because The World Ends With You is teased as one of the worlds for the next Kingdom Hearts game at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. Specifically Shibuya and everything. So it's clear that he has not forgotten about it and that he wants to do something with it in the future. However, we'll have to see if he ever actually does anything with it. He has enough clout to get something like that made, but only if the producers and business execs thinks there's money in it. Which is partially why it's a shame that the Switch port flopped so badly. Although it's not really because of a lack of interest in the game, it's because that port was not good at all. And they were trying to charge $50 for a port of a mobile game that wasn't fun to play on a like it wasn't fun to play on the console version of the Switch, and portable version it was basically the phone version, but for like $30 extra when it first came out. Now it's like 25 bucks, which is the same amount, about that much you'll pay on Amazon for a copy of the original game. But this game is a lot of fun. Its soundtrack is really good. If you want the soundtrack, you can DM me on Discord. I can send it to you or whatever that way. But this game is a lot of fun. And it's honestly, I think, my favorite RPG on the DS. And that's saying something, because there's a lot of RPGs on the DS, like a lot of them, a lot of good ones. There's certainly no other RPG like it. The Tensei Devil Survivor series kind of comes close in certain ways, being set in Tokyo, being set in modern day, having a high stakes battle with teenagers. However, the story of those aren't as personal and aren't as like interesting, I feel, as this story is. I really like this game quite a bit. And going through it again, playing through it again, has reminded me why. And I'm glad I got to play through it and share it with you guys. Yeah, this game is really good. This game is really good. I still listen to the soundtrack and everything a lot, and I still will pick it up sometimes just to play it because the battle system is really fun too. But until, I don't know, maybe I'll play the final version, final remix of this game on stream at some point, like a year or two down the line, or if they ever come out with a sequel, I'll definitely play that. But until then, I think it's time to say goodbye to this game. This is a very good game. I would recommend playing it yourself, just because the battle system is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of like charm to the game, and I don't know. And you don't have to make it a hard game if you don't want to. Like, there's the easy mode pretty early on. There's a lot of flexibility with the HP level system. Like, you can make this game, like, there's a baseline of difficulty, but that baseline is pretty low, and you can ramp it up if you really want to. And the more you do, the more rewards you'll get out of this game. Completion-wise, the game doesn't have a lot of bonuses. The most it has is actually the save thing here. So getting all of the secret reports nets you, getting all the secret reports nets you this Mr. H on the save screen. Getting all the items nets you Mr. Mew. Completing the noise report gets you Rhyme's noise form. Doing something, and then I think the pins is Rhyme herself. Or maybe not pins. It might be something else, the final time attack or something. In any case, this game is a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to share it. Tomorrow we will start on Pokemon Glaze, so we'll go ahead and go for another GBA ROM hack of Pokemon. This time it'll not be just like a generic sprite swap with some extra features. It'll be a full game with a full story. I've heard the story is actually fairly good, so I'll be interested to see that. I've only ever played through like the first hour of the game ever, so I haven't played it a whole bunch myself, so I won't be too familiar with it. So it'll be my first like real playthrough of the whole thing, so that'll be fun. As far as I know, it adds a bunch of Pokemon from later generations. It adds Mega Evolutions, some of its own unique, like, specific Mega Evolutions. And yeah, there's a lot of good features in it, and I will be excited to get started on it tomorrow. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a good day, evening, whatever, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Chime, for watching the whole way through. I hope you enjoyed listening to me explain the convoluted story and lore of this game, and for like 2 hours and everything. So see y'all later. Hope you have a good one.